Hey everyone, welcome back to Fenralian Gamer. Today we're diving into some explosive rumors about the future of the God of War series. Could the next game take us to Egypt? Is Kratos about to face off with Anubis? I've gathered all the leaks, theories, and clues for you. If you enjoy this kind of content, don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel. Let's get started. Kratos' journey isn't over, it's just getting started. After years of battling gods across mythologies, the question now is, where does he go next? God of War Ragnarok gave us a deep look at Kratos' internal struggles and mythological enemies, but now fans are setting their sights on another corner of the ancient world. And according to recent leaks, that next stop might just be Egypt, the land of pharaohs and gods. There are some pretty compelling details behind this rumor. First off, well-known industry insider Daniel Richtman reported that Sony is casting Middle Eastern actors for a new AAA project. That alone is exciting. But what's even more intriguing is something God of War director Cory Barlog said years ago. Back in 2018, the game was originally planned to be set in Egyptian mythology, before they shifted gears to Norse. So clearly, this idea has been simmering for a while. And honestly, the 2018 game and Ragnarok are full of subtle Egyptian hints, from the hieroglyphs in Tyr's vault, to Atreus' Egyptian seal crown, to Mimir's talk of a far-off desert land, and even the Ankh symbol seen in Ragnarok. Santa Monica Studio has been teasing this move for a long time. Add in the official God of War comic where Kratos visits Egypt, and it feels like this is no longer just a theory, it's a strong possibility. But Egypt isn't just a new map. It could represent an entirely new phase in Kratos' psychological journey. Egyptian mythology is deeply rooted in death, destruction, and rebirth. Its gods don't just represent war and vengeance, they also stand for justice, balance, and resurrection. That complexity aligns perfectly with where Kratos is now. A man who doesn't just want to destroy, but to rebuild. A man trying to redefine himself in the midst of chaos. Another key element is Kratos being separated from Atreus. At the end of Ragnarok, the two part ways, and that gives Kratos a chance to find himself on his own, in a land haunted by gods and ghosts of the past. Egypt could offer the perfect setting for a more introspective story. That loneliness would echo the early games, giving players that dark, isolated Kratos vibe again, while also showing how much he's grown. With Egyptian mythology comes a whole new set of enemies. Gods like Set, the embodiment of chaos, or Anubis, the guide of the dead, could push Kratos to his limits, both physically and emotionally. These aren't just opponents in battle. They represent ideas and inner demons that could challenge who Kratos has become. And here's the thing, Kratos can't outrun his past. He slaughtered the Greek pantheon, brought down the Norse gods. Now what happens when he enters the land of death and rebirth? Maybe the Egyptian gods already know who he is. Maybe they'll judge him. In this world, fighting might not be enough. Kratos may have to face the consequences of everything he's done. And that could lead to the most emotionally intense story the series has ever told. Knowing what Santa Monica Studio is capable of, Egyptian mythology is basically a gold mine. Towering temples, hidden secrets inside pyramids, massive desert battles between gods. It's not just visually stunning, it could add a cinematic new dimension to Kratos' story. Just imagine boss fights with animal-headed gods. Sekhmet the lioness, Anubis with his jackal face. That's the kind of stuff that becomes legendary. After Ragnarok, Kratos is clearly stepping into a new chapter, but the first step starts inside himself. He needs to redefine who he is, why he's still fighting, and what he stands for. A spiritual, symbolic setting like Egypt feels tailor-made for that kind of character evolution. Maybe this time Kratos isn't here to kill a god. Maybe he's here to understand one. Maybe he's looking for peace. But we know one thing for sure. Blood, pain, and loss are always close behind. In one possible storyline, Kratos could get caught in a political war between gods, maybe forced to choose a side. The eternal conflict between Osiris and Set could pull Kratos into a story where he's not fighting for power, but for balance. What if, for the first time, Kratos tries to preserve order instead of destroying it? That would make him a totally different kind of hero. Not a destroyer, but a god of balance. And as noble as that sounds, balance in Egyptian mythology is fragile. The concept of ma'at, universal order, must be maintained by the gods. Every disruption strengthens Set, the god of chaos. If Kratos enters this world and learns the gods are at war, maybe the only way to restore peace is to end his own inner conflict. That would mean finally letting go of the past and stepping into a completely new identity. Of course, the idea of Kratos changing won't sit well with the gods. To them, he's a destroyer. His name probably echoes through the underworld like a legend. Egyptian gods might see him as a threat, not a savior. Gods like Anubis, who weighs souls on the scales of justice, might decide Kratos must be judged. And that could lead to another battle, not for the world, but for his own redemption. Atreus being absent, or only appearing briefly, could actually add a layer of nostalgia. We'd be going back to the vibe of the original games. That isolation gives the story emotional weight without slowing the pace. Kratos wouldn't just be a father anymore, he'd be a god searching for meaning. This might be his most personal journey yet. And in Egypt, Kratos might finally interact with regular people in a meaningful way. In previous games, this was rare. But now, the people might fear him, worship him, or beg him for help. That opens the door for moral choices. Maybe Kratos will have to make a decision that impacts an entire civilization, a decision that forces him to confront his past with pride or regret. This new setting is also perfect for fresh gameplay mechanics. Picture battling through sandstorms, solving temple puzzles, or racing through pyramid traps. Combine Santa Monica's cinematic action with this environment, and you've got a totally unique God of War experience. Maybe even the weapons interact with mythological symbols. Maybe we get time-slowing magic in battles against Anubis. Who knows? A God of War game set in Egypt wouldn't just be a mythological swap. It'd be a complete atmospheric shift. The icy gloom of Norse lands replaced by scorching deserts, golden temples, and glowing symbols under the night sky. It would impact everything. The visuals, the music, the tone of the dialogue. Egypt's philosophy and symbol-rich religion could give this game a whole new soul. And Kratos' new enemies wouldn't just be gods. Imagine cursed pharaohs, undead guardians, or ancient sorcerers. Maybe there's a side quest to uncover a lost civilization beneath the Nile. Maybe you have to break a forgotten prophecy. These kinds of side stories could support a rich, open-world structure and make every step feel like a discovery. But what if Kratos doesn't solve everything through violence this time? Maybe he meets a wise sage who shows him that true strength isn't just about rage. That would be a massive shift for his character. Watching Kratos, a man who's always relied on anger, start to grow emotionally could make for the deepest God of War yet. Maybe this journey brings him closer to becoming a real god, not of destruction, but of wisdom. And who knows, maybe Egypt isn't just a new adventure. Maybe it's the start of a whole new trilogy. Just like Norse mythology spanned 2 games, this world could be explored just as deeply. And the gods Kratos meets may not just be enemies. They could be guides who help shape his past, present, and future. This might be the beginning of Kratos' final journey. There's no official announcement yet about what's next for God of War, but with all these leaks, in-game clues, and fan theories lining up, the Egypt theory feels stronger than ever. And if it really happens, we might be looking at Kratos' darkest, most personal, and most legendary chapter yet. The land may change, but the weight of fate will always be on his shoulders. Whatever Kratos faces in Egypt could be deeper and darker than anything before. But what do you think? Can Kratos finally confront his past and find peace? Drop your thoughts in the comments. And if you enjoyed this video, hit that like button and subscribe so you don't miss out on all the new theory-packed content. I'll catch you in the next one.